and secondly, to make music that's really interesting orchestrationally, not just the amount of different instruments, but the quality of the sounds of the instruments, and especially the synthetic world, which I want to kind of advance. When I hear jazz now, and you hear a solo or something, it always seems to be a bit of a blah. People just sort of go off and play, like interesting lines and sort of novel sort of rhythmic things and stuff like that. But it doesn't. What turns me on about music is when you get a sort of a melodic phrase and then you see it evolve, like the classic sort of ba 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 ba, and then the whole of that movement is used in all sorts of different ways to make it interesting, but it gives it that kind of wholeness. Whereas classical music, you think, oh thank God that head's over, now I can start playing. And it also there's an element of that sort of Olympic sport thing with jazz, that it's how fast and amazing you can play. So people go, whoa! I must admit that I've been a bit cloistered in my listening habits over the last sort of 10 years or so. I mostly listen to ABC FM actually these days, because I love classical music and there's such a variety. I love the Impressionists, Stravinsky and Ravel, and especially Debussy's, because he's so unusual but still really pleasant on the ear kind of thing. And I love that level of complexity with music. The only thing that I hate about it is that sadly classical people generally hate synthesizers, and probably for those reasons is when you hear the plastic alternative, it sounds plastic, because if people aren't really doing all that kind of subtle articulation, and also don't forget that synthesizers have come a huge way in the last 20 or 30 years, and even though you can make quite interesting sounds on old Moogs and things, there's obviously much better signal to noise ratios and much more ability. They've got controllers that have got all faders and all sorts of different things to do all that articulation, but I haven't seen it, but possibly only that I haven't really checked out tons of modern music. Using technology, I realised, as I say, early on, that you had to have all this, not just, grab one knob and turn it. You needed multiple changes in timbre simultaneously, ideally, to make an interesting sound. So I got, first of all the things you can do. Vibrato is inherent in most acoustic instruments, except percussion instruments, and even they have some. So the vibe bar I made, which gives you pitch bend up and down, tone up, right? Oh, it might be a little out of tune. And semitone rolling forward. So you should be able to get a tone and a half by going forward and up. Oh, a little out of tune. Oh no. It needs adjustment from time to time. You can do all this sort of cool stuff. Etc, etc. So that takes care of all those pitch bend duties. And vibrato things, because also a lot of ways synthesis used to get vibrato is using the modulation wheel, doing a low pass filter, a slow oscillation in pitch, right? Sounds sterile. People can sort of detect that complete evenness, and like a guitar vibrato is much more random and just the way you can sort of feel it.
I agree, it's annoying sometimes.
Yeah, it's sort of like, yeah, so many synth solos sound like they've been squeezed out of a toothpaste tube. And my knee change, this is something, because I also thought if I got my hands full playing, and I want to... really quite hard to sort of articulate. I don't know, look, I haven't got that working yet.
That didn't sound too bad to me.
This down here is the shoe.
Mm.
Here, let me take it out. See it a little bit easier. Now, what this does is you have, it's a 7-axis continuous controller array. You have down, back down, other side down, up, and up. And basically I've programmed, say, the 4 flat ones, like a filter thing. And the back one is not working, but the side one gives you a different kind of, and this one gives you another. So you get sort of, by moving your foot around, it probably needs some redesigning because perhaps there's a bit too much movement, but I do plan to, you know, do all 7 controllers and have them all making specific changes to the sound, so you can wiggle around and you can get all these different changes. Physical modelling technology, very significant innovation in synthesizers, and you can so you get all that sort of character. So you get this pitch bend that goes. What you have is, this is a little box without all the other paraphernalia on. Twist for volume and pitch. I'm going to make a model for sale, which is going to look like a little flying saucer. That's going to, this bulbous bit is going to be in the middle, like, you know, the standard flying saucer thing, and all these knobs are going to be just around the front. So I've got to make that model before I start getting students for my world domination Tron classes. Oh wait, there's more. As well as that, we have octave transpose, bottom end to boot, and you have this bash function, which
and
so
you loop that sometimes with your
and basically that's what I'll show you in a minute. So there's that, and as well as that, because that's the bash function, and the way it was originally intended, you set the controls. So, you know, you hit the drum, but you can, because I've got it around my neck, I can control all these and articulate, sonically manipulate the sound, so you can get all this. So all sorts of things. There's a decay rate. There's a couple other interesting features on this that aren't on most of them. That different sounds and a noise. which I haven't really used too much, but it's another thing to explore. But, you know, some gorgeous... So you see why I'm in a helmet, so people don't have to see my excruciating facial contortions while I'm performing, because it's all pitch, you gotta get in there. So, anyway.